Hello, you bountiful little marketing bees. You're tuned in to episode 62 of the Marketing Buzzword Podcast.
This is the Marketing Buzzword Podcast, the podcast where we dissect the world's most common marketing buzzwords. Hold on tight. We are about to fly around the beehive to see the latest buzzwords that stuck to the marketing bees.
Hello and welcome to the bite-sized section of the Marketing Buzzword Podcast and project, aptly named Bitesize Buzzword. I'm Ben Roberts, and in these bite-sized snackable episodes, I'm going to help you dive deeper into what a specific marketing buzzword actually means, help you decide whether it is or isn't important to your business, and if it is, how you can incorporate that buzzword into your marketing strategy. Now, in this week, we're going to look at the marketing buzzword referral marketing. And actually, what it is. And I'm really excited to share this episode with you because I think it's actually something that a lot of us could think about, but we generally don't until after the fact. And so in this episode, we're going to look at what is referral marketing, why you could potentially use it, and what some of the benefits may be. Find out if it's actually applicable to all businesses. Look at some small drawbacks that referral marketing has and how you can actually implement it into your marketing strategy. So, what is referral marketing? Well, simply put, referral marketing is spreading the word about a product or a service that a business offers through your existing customers, rather than trying to sort of outreach and hope that you're picking up new customers. So, i.e., instead of just going out there and using, say, user-generated content from them, or just creating advertising or content, you actually encourage your current customers, or even previous customers, to refer business to you for some sort of reward or because of some altruistic motive. Very similar. It is very similar to word-of-mouth marketing, which is something's been around for, before time, pretty much. It feels like, anyway. Which occurred, and word of mouth is sort of just when people tell each other about a business. And you could argue, some people would argue that it's a form of referral marketing, but it depends on whether the business has driven and encouraged that, or whether they've actively sought to get that business, or whether it's just been done completely off the customer's back. It's not a very slight difference between referral marketing and word of mouth marketing. Now, some of the potential benefits of Some of the potential benefits of referral marketing are that when I was researching this, I found a load of stats, and there are a huge number of stats, and the ones I found most interesting was something like 65% of new business comes from referrals. Now, I'm not overly hung up on that statistic. I think for some businesses it could be huge, it could be even potentially more. For some businesses it could be a lot less, but the potential really is there. Now, customers are four times more likely to buy with referrals from friends. Yeah, I can sort of get on board with that. And referral programs are among the least expensive marketing strategies. That one is potentially key. Now, it depends on the size of your business, but the cost of actually being able to set up a referral program is generally pretty low. Now, the other stat that I found really interesting, and one that I could actually potentially get on board with, is referred customers spend an average of 13 to 16% more than regular customers. Now, some of these stats taken in isolation make all these things. I mean, I could look at any sort of part of marketing, any marketing strategy or tactic, and I could find some stats that it would make it seem absolutely amazing. Ultimately, it's down to the individual businesses. But ultimately, using digital mediums and the internet, you're able to share the impact of your referral marketing faster and wider to more people than you ever have done before. And that's where word of mouth marketing and referral marketing start to diverge, because the business hasn't really necessarily always encouraged word of mouth marketing. And if they had, it's really driven offline, whereas referrals can be driven online. And that's even just like through referral programs, where there is actually just through getting people to share stuff and interact with your content. As we talked about earlier in this week with Christine Gritman, talk about meaningful interactions. Creating these meaningful interactions means people like, know, trust you, and ultimately they refer you to friends. Now, is this applicable to all businesses? It's a funny one, this one. Yes, ultimately, if you have customers and you want more customers, referral marketing is definitely something that you could consider. And yeah, it's used in a huge variety of businesses. I've seen them using e-commerce and 1- and 2-man bands up to the multinationals. I think that many businesses that offer goods or service can implement referral marketing campaigns. I think the effectiveness and the time spent is going to be very different. If you have a B2B SaaS company, what sort of incentives would drive potential sales or referrals? I.e., if you have a small number of customers, you are potentially going to have to spend a lot more on that individual referral. However, the outcome of it is going to be much larger. I.e., if you're going to get someone to spend £10 on a game and it's like refer a friend to get 10% off, get £1 off. I mean, you get loads of little ones like that, but ultimately, it's where you draw that balance and that line. Actually, if you're spending 10% for your business, if you're spending adding 10% to your costs per sale, is that something that you can potentially afford to do unless it's replacing something that's already there? So you want to be thinking about some of these different angles. Now, some of the drawbacks you may have of implementing a referral campaign are these, and this is what I've been thinking anyway, is actually potentially referrals can devalue products. Now, I don't think this is wholesale across the board, but it is something to consider. When you offering products and you say you offer 10% off, remember there are different types of referral campaigns, but when you're offering things like 10% off, people know that you can offer it cheaper. So actually, if you're referring it, does it actually have any incentive? And sometimes, and the biggest one that people often get wrong, or I see can be negative, is are these one-way or two-way referrals? And this is the biggest one. Because if you just offer the referral incentive to the end customer, look, you've been referred, why would people refer them when they're not getting anything themselves, apart from an altruistic motive? So it's like thinking, okay, if I offer a discount there, I can see why the end user would want to get involved because they're getting something. But you're like, well, why would anyone refer to them? The other way around, the flip side is you offer the incentive to the referrer, but then other people don't get any discount, and it's like, okay, well, they're just sharing stuff because they're going to get something cheaper. Is that really beneficial? Is that, again, devaluing the product? It's something to think about. And the final way is doing it two-way. Do you offer both the referrer and the end customer both an incentive? If so, you're chopping even more into your margins. That's the difficulty is. But if you are using this to potentially replace advertising, paid promotions, something else in your budget is moving aside to allow you to have space for this, then it could be hugely beneficial for you. Something to think about. And the other thing to think about is a drawback, a potential error that people make is actually the type of incentive and the way it motivates. Certain incentives will have much stronger motivating powers. Some incentives will be highly aligned with what the business does. Some, if you've done your business personas properly, so for example, you could be an automotive company and you're a reasonably high-end automotive company. Could you do golf days? Do golf days resonate with all your audience? They're not going to resonate with all of them, but they're going to resonate with a huge majority of them. Is that a way of being able to offer something that's not related to your brand, but ultimately is an incentive? But ultimately, people can be hard to motivate, and if they don't get anything for themselves, so again, altruism, you can rely on that, and that's fine. But actually, people are hard to motivate, and if anyone's ever tried to get people to donate to charity stuff, you get the first a load quite quickly and quite easily, and over time, it becomes harder and harder. Now, How do we actually do it then? Well, you can just simply ask for referrals. If you are going to go down this route, just ask for referrals. It just basically involves mentioning the referral program to as many people as possible. And by actively saying, look, we really want your referrals, we're going to offer this from there, you could include it in all your marketing literature, your content, your social media posts, that you have a referral program. Uber, every time you go on the app, there's I get my refer a friend code. Something as simple like that can be hugely effective. Employee training. So this is something that you can do in line with asking for referrals, and basically it basically just helps turn all your employees into referral ambassadors, essentially. So basically, that every interaction they have, they know that they can weigh up the options, understand what would motivate the customer, what the incentive program is, and how it can be designed for those different people. Think about sort of not just asking we'll get one person to drive the referral program, create it across the board. Now, something I mentioned earlier in terms of the automotive stuff was sort of like joint ventureship referrals. So what you can do is you don't have to take this burden on alone. You can do joint ventures with people. So i.e. cross promotion, complementary business. Again, I told about high-end luxury cars and golf. There could be all sorts of weird and wonderful combinations that you could come up with, as long as it's relevant to your target market, and then there's potential there. And basically it looks at actually not offering more value. Again, it's not just pushing your product all the time, your product, your sales. And actually, look, if you're not cutting it into the adding cost to your product, then potentially that could be more beneficial for you as well. But ultimately, before you go into any of those, you have to research. And I think I sort of started making that quite clear, but I thought actually no, probably should make it even more clear. Is you have to know who your customers are and what they want. Do they match up? Do these incentives match up with your personas? Are these incentives something that will actually encourage someone to take an extra step or do something a little bit more? You can do that through first or third party research. So you can either go directly to your customers, you can hire a research firm potentially. All sorts of things you can do to research your customers, but you do have to research them, because if you don't know them or you haven't spoke to them, then actually how do you know whether it's actually the referral program is going to be a waste of time or not? And basically you also need a way of proving, validating, and potentially attributing referrals. So i.e., where have they come from? Especially doing joint venture stuff. Where does that referral come from? What channels are working, what channels are not. You may find that social media works great for referrals and the website doesn't. Are they coming directly through your doors if you've got a brick and mortar business? These are things you really need to consider when you're doing a referral marketing campaign. Now, I'm a huge fan of referral marketing. I think it can be brilliant. But as you'll know from this podcast, I'm not one that's going to go and sit in here and go, you must implement all these different buzzwords. I'm a little bit skeptical about everything. But it definitely had legs if you consider it properly. And I think that is something, depending on your business, that you could potentially do. Thank you very, very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have done it and you've enjoyed any of the bite-sized buzzwords, please do leave a review on iTunes. I really, really do appreciate it. And I'll be back next week with more marketing buzzwords to digest. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
This podcast is part of the You Are the Media Network.